आज हमारे बुक रिव्यू का थर्ड सेशन है जो कि शेयर्ड पेन ऑफिशियल की तरफ से है और इन कोलैबोरेशन विद कैफे एक्स। जिस बज़्म में सागर न हो सबा न हो हम न हो, जिस बज़्म में सागर न हो सबा न हो हम न हो, रिंदों को तसल्ली है कि इस बज़्म में तुम हो। तो इस बज़्म का आगाज़ करते हुए सबसे पहले मैं दावत दूंगा अस्मा जान को आएँ, साहिबा को कि वो आएँ और आकर अपना बुक रिव्यू शुरू करें।
Assalamu alaikum. The book I'm going to talk about, the book I'm reading today is You Can Win by Chowk. As you know, I tend to forget things, so I have written the quote quoted in the book. It says, winners don't do different things, they do things differently. So the book is a self-help book. In this book, Chowk talks about how to be successful. It is a self-help book where a person gets motivated to do things. It motivates us to do things. So we all have 24 hours, but we all don't succeed in life. Do we? No, we don't. So what is the difference between successful people and those who don't succeed?
I think they take out from the maximum. They take out maximum from the minimum what they have or what all have. They maximize it. They maximize from the minimum resources or limited resources.
Bilkul. And another thing is they are productive. What we do is हम बोलते हैं I'll study for 10 hours. वो हमारा गोल रहता है मैं कितने hours पढ़ूंगा. But our goal should be मैं उस जितने भी घंटे में पढ़ूं उस घंटे में कितना मैं पढ़ूंगी. That should be our goal. ये हमारा गोल नहीं होना चाहिए 10 घंटे पढ़ूंगी 12 घंटे पढ़ूंगी. फायदा क्या? We should be productive. That's what Chowk talks about. He talks about habit formation to inculcate good habits. He says that if we talk about people जो successful नहीं होते हैं वो क्या होते हैं? They are arrogant. उनको अगर हम कोई बात बोले समझाने की कोशिश करें they are arrogant, ignorant. वो लड़ाई करते हैं वहाँ से. Exactly. And another point is वो क्या करते हैं? वो सब कुछ blame करते हैं on government authorities. That's actually what we all do. We all criticize our government.
Situations.
जो कुछ है, at least उसका फायदा हम उठाएं. We should take benefit from the things we already have. Why are we asking for another thing and we are not benefiting from things we have? That means we are not content with things we have. He talks about habit formation, that we should try to inculcate good habits. He talks about positive behavior. So if there's this is not, I have heard this before, I don't know from whom did I heard this. So there a person was given a glass of water. It was half full. And he was asked, what do you see when you look at this glass? He said, half empty, khali आधा glass है. He didn't say half full. Means when we see a thing or a situation, we don't see it positively. He could have said half full है आधा भर के है. He said आधा खाली glass है. That's what we all do. हम क्या कहते हैं लाइफ में? मेरे पास वो नहीं है. We keep crying and whining about situations. But हम नहीं बोलते मेरे पास तो ये है, मैं तो इसका फायदा उठाऊं. We keep saying मेरे पास फ्रेंड्स नहीं है, मेरे पास वो नहीं है, मेरे पास बड़ा मकान नहीं है, बड़ी गाड़ी नहीं है. अगर तुम्हारे पास साइकिल है उसका तो फायदा उठाओ, उसमें तो खुश रहो. एटलीस्ट पहले वो मोमेंट एंजॉय करो. बिल्कुल वी शुड ट्राई टू गेट सक्सेसफुल और रिच होना चाहिए. बट ऐसा नहीं है कि उस दौड़ में वी शुड फॉरगेट टू चेरिश द मोमेंट. जो हमारे पास है वी फॉरगेट highlights in his book is after every chapter, he gives us a worksheet to fill. It's like a question answer session, indirect question answer session. He asks us questions and we classmate, yes she is rich, बहुत rich, मेरे से बहुत ज़्यादा rich है, but she works hard. I can't say कि वो rich है इसलिए उसको मेरे से ज़्यादा marks आते हैं. हाँ, जब मैं उसके साथ compete करती हूँ तब मुझे वो अच्छी नहीं लगती, तब तो मुझे बिल्कुल अच्छी नहीं लगती, लेकिन जब मैं सच्ची बात कहूँगी, she works hard. She works really hard.
It's actually there's a flip side, double-edged sword. अगर वो rich है फिर भी मेहनत कर रही है, उसे मेहनत करने की जरूरत नहीं है और उसके पास distraction ज़्यादा है, हमारे पास उतने हैं नहीं.
Exactly, बिल्कुल.
All the more reason कि हम कर सकते हैं कुछ और.
बिल्कुल.
Yeah.
और हमारे पास मोटिवेशन भी ज्यादा है.
हाँ, क्योंकि हमें जरूरत है.
Yes, हमारे पास need है. She doesn't have that need. We have that need to become successful. She has everything she wants. Yeah. We all are discussing ideas here. We are discussing books. And अगर बात हो low esteem people की, what do? They discuss people. They whine, they cry. वो सास बहू की वो लड़ाई, फूफू ने ऐसा किया, पापा ने आज ऐसा किया, मेरी फ्रेंड सेल्फिश है, that's what we talk about. Low esteem people. And उनका attitude, they keep criticizing people. They don't look into the mirror. वो नहीं देखते हैं जो सामने है, अपने आप को नहीं देखते हैं. They look at others. देखो उसको ये प्रॉब्लम है, उसमें ये मसला है, उसको ये है. हम अपने आप में नहीं जानते हैं मेरे पास क्या है. एंड वो ब्लेम करते हैं दुनिया को, दुनिया ने ऐसा किया, काश मुझे मौका मिल गया होता, मैंने पढ़ा होता. लेकिन वो खुद को कभी ब्लेम नहीं करते हैं. I'm not saying they should blame themselves, at least they should be responsible. And high esteem people जो होते हैं, people with high esteem, they are responsible. They take responsibility for the things they should be responsible. And the people, good people, they motivate others. They motivate others. They don't demotivate others. I had a friend, नाम नहीं बोलूँगी, she told me recently, मुझे तुम पसंद नहीं थी बचपन से. I said why? She said तुम्हारी बहुत फ्रेंड्स थी. She is introvert. तुम्हारी बहुत फ्रेंड्स थी. I don't know तुम मैनेज कैसे करती हो. And I was in shock. मतलब she liked me. She hated me इस बात पे because I had friends and she couldn't make friends. भाई क्या है ये? So we shouldn't be jealous for others. उसको भी ट्राई करनी चाहिए थी to be extrovert. Exactly. अगर उसको extrovert बनना था, उसको भी कुछ steps follow करने थे to become extrovert. Yeah, at least she could have become ambivert. But look at her. She's jealous of me just because I am an extrovert. We are jealous of people. We should be happy for others. At least if we can't be happy for others, don't be jealous. Exactly. We should focus on ourselves. And after every chapter, he tells us, he asks us questions. And after finishing the book, after completing all the chapters, there is this question answer session. There he asks us some questions. He tells us first.
मुझे कहा था जब मैं 9th क्लास में था, मैं बैक बेंच पे जाके बैठ गया. हम गांव में रहते हैं तो वहाँ पे टाट होते थे. आप समझते हैं टाट क्या होता है? वो मैटिंग की एक पुरानी टाइप होती थी. तो हम टाट पे तो हम गांव में रहते थे. तो मेरे टीचर ने कहा कि आप इस चीज़ से पहचाने जाएंगे कि आप किन लोगों के साथ चलते हैं, और आपकी सारी बातों का लुबे लुबाब ये है कि ग्रेट माइंड डिस्कस आइडियाज़, एवरेज माइंड डिस्कस इवेंट और स्मॉल माइंड डिस्कस पीपल. तो मैं वक्त ज़ाया ना करते हुए अपने अगले पार्टिसिपेंट को दावत दूंगा. मीर काशिफ साहब, आप आएँ और अपने ख्यालात से हमें आगाह करें.
Since she was talking about self-help books, whenever I think about my journey, most of the books which I have read, those are all self-help books. hardly there will be two books which I have read and they are not self-help books. First is this, The 40 Rules of Love by Liv Shafak. And I'll still say I took a lot of self-help lessons. And then there is Alchemist, but it is still a self-help book. But at the end, I ended up writing a storybook. I'll say a fable. Like Leo Tolstoy has written a lot of those, or any other fable. Like it's a normal fable. I'll not say it is a self-help book. Whenever there comes a notification on LinkedIn or anywhere that regarding your book, someone has liked your post. Every time I read this, and I'm like, what? I have written this book. Damn, how did I reach there? And this book is basically about the importance of something, someone, which I'll tell you later. But first, like, why did I choose to write the book like this? Was because how do we get to know about the importance of someone when that person or that thing is not present in there, right? That is the best way to get to know about someone's presence. Like in Indian cricket nowadays, कोई था जो विकेट्स के पीछे से गेम बदल देता था, MS धोनी. हम तो रोते रह गए यार, ICC ट्रॉफी नहीं आ रही है. That is how I reached this point where I wrote a book about someone who is behind our existence. Can you guess? This one is easy. Exactly. She's my sister. Every time I try to do something, she reveals it.
I was thinking about
Father.
no,
Then?
father. I was thinking about our prophet.
Okay. Yeah,
Because,
that's great.
I think what is there which is common between God and us? There is no comparison. It's full of imperfections, and He is perfect.
Hmm.
Love.
Hmm. Exactly. This is such a nice point you made. Also about the importance of God. Now, as I told you that I wanted to write this book in such a way that that person should feel the importance of God. So here comes the story. Look, how does it start? There is a devout believer. His name is John, and he's a Christian. He's not a Muslim. I'll tell you its reason later why I did not put a Muslim character into it. And he's a devout believer. And his family as well. He preaches them that you should pray, you should help others, and you should do a lot of charity, whatever you can do in order to achieve what? Heaven, paradise. That is what end goal is. But suddenly what happens? He dies. And the moment he dies, he finds himself at a grave with other souls. Now he is also in a soul form and other souls around him. And he asks them, like, what is it? Is this heaven? Is this hell? Where are we? And what does the other souls tell him? They start laughing, like, look, another new soul. He does not know. And then they tell him that there is nothing like God. What are you asking? Every single thing which you have been told in your life, it is a lie. Then he says, no, first he does not believe that because his mind has been conditioned in such a way in the real world that no, God exists, you do good things, then good will happen to you. If not in this world, then in the afterworld. Now his heart breaks. Like he's like, what? God does not exist. My whole life was a lie. If God was a lie, now I have preached every single person I met in my life that pray to God, do good things in life, including his two children, his wife, and now he is more desperate to tell his friends and family about God does not exist. Like he's like, at least they should enjoy their lives howsoever they want to. Then he meets a companion there, and his name is Seraphim. He is regarded in that particular grave the the oldest souls of that grave. And then he meets him, he consoles him. Seraphil consoles John and tells him, mate, don't worry. Well, these things happen. Like, look, I am the oldest soul in this grave, but you should just try to fit in. Now, what will happen by this? But then John tells him that fine, right now we are souls. But at the end, what will happen? He still has hope. Then John tells him, look, how, sorry, Seraphil tells him that, John, look, how this will work. What we have got to know is that every single person who dies in the world will come here as a soul. And after a long time, there will come a time where this world will get ended. And then all the human beings will be transformed into souls. And then all the souls also, they will die. There won't be any afterlife in reality. Now, John, he was like, what? Did I work for this? Well, at least if this was about to happen, then at least I would have lived like an atheist in this world, so that I would be able to do all kinds of things which I wanted to do, but I did not do because I thought they are wrong in nature. I shouldn't do them. Now he also like discusses these things with Seraphil. He tells him a lot of things, that how he was a baker, John, like at East Texas, and how his shop would run. The reason I chose East Texas is because I recently watched a series, Young Sheldon. It is a fantastic series. That's why I thought let's incorporate this into the novel. Then what happens is he tells him a story that how my younger son, his name is Michael, he once asked me that, hey dad, why should we believe in God? Then John tells Seraphil that at that time I did not had so many reasons. I just told him you should just believe, and then I told him some other things to do so that he forgets about that question. Then he regrets. John regrets that why should now, like, why did I do that at that time? I should have myself thought about that. And then right now my family as well, even they won't be able to enjoy. Then they will die and they'll also come there. Then Seraphil tells him, like, it's okay, fine, it happens with everyone. It is not your mistake. Well, it just happened and it will happen with everyone. So, yeah, just let it be. But then he cries. John, as a in the form of a soul, he tries to cry, but he's not even able to cry just because he's a soul now. He can't do things like humans. But finally, what he does is he stops talking. Seraphil, for hours, is trying to tell him, hey, talk, John, how are you? This, that. Then finally, John speaks after some days, and he says, he tells to Seraphil, rather, he asks him, is there any way by which we can go back to the earth? Not even in the form of a human, but in the form of a soul. I just want to go to my family and friends and tell them that don't believe in God, enjoy your life howsoever you want to. Then what happens is, at first, Seraphil, he tells him no, he declines. He says, no, if I knew that, then I would myself go there in the world. But then John, again, he stops talking. Now, when a lot of days pass, finally, Seraphil comes by himself and tells him, look, I know a way by which we can go to the real world and discover human beings and do other stuff there. But now I won't tell you what that thing is so that you become curious and you read my book. But finally, when they reach to the real world, what happens? John straight tells to Seraphil that the first thing which we should do is we should go to my home at East Texas, which was not that far from that graveyard. That I'll visit my friends and family. I'll just tell them that don't believe in God, that's it. But what happens when he reaches there and he tries to even open the door? He's not even able to touch the door. He just passes through it, just an hour. So finally, what happens? Now they are observing, they are helpless. He reaches to a point where he gets so upset that he tells to Seraphil, I think this is all a waste of time. I am even more upset than I was at that grave. So let's go back to the grave. You were right. We shouldn't have come out of that grave. Seraphil says, yeah, okay, fine, that's great. But now this John, he tells him that no, let's just first go to the main market of East Texas where my shop is located. Since you are this good friend of mine, in fact, after life as well, you helped me this much. I just want to show you my shop. So when they go there, they visit his shop. He shows him that. And after that, when they were leaving from that, they find a barber shop in the corner. Now, John was telling him the story that look, when I was a devout believer in this world, you see all these shopkeepers, there are just some people who are actually very good believers of God. Others, they were not that good. Like one among is this barber who charges extra money to people who come, who are tourists and other people. So when tells him that I'll show you. But there he meets two people. There are two brothers who are atheists. Sorry, one is atheist and another one is believer of God. You know what happens when John goes there with Seraphil? He finds them talk. That the elder brother is convincing his younger brother, look, why have you become an atheist? You should better come back to our religion. But then he opposes. He says, no, I want to live my life how I choose. I will not listen to you. Then finally, what this elder brother tells him is that, look, why are you doing this thing? What will your family think, your parents, and how will other society see us, our family? Now, this his younger brother, he lashes out on his elder brother. He says, "What? You are telling me to do this just because to protect a fake image of your family?"
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया मीर काशिफ साहब। अब मैं आसिया अमीन साहिबा को मैं दावत दूंगा कि वो आएँ और अपना बुक रिव्यू पेश करें।
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, everybody. So, thank you very much, everybody, for your insights and the book reviews. Your book reviews made me amend my book review a little. We all, as she said, that everyone, everything we see, everyone we meet, everything we put in, since we're talking about mind here, is an ingredient. So we all are ingredients to each other, and we should choose our ingredients very, very wisely. The book which I would be reviewing today is 40 Rules of Love by Edith Shafak. This is my favorite book, and this is very, very close to my heart. It brought a lot of transformation in me. It came as a gift from a friend. Her name is Naira. At a time in my life where I had stopped reading for 2 years because I had given birth to a child, and then I was suffering from insomnia. So for 2-3 months, I've not been able to sleep properly. And I just told her, I don't know what to do. She said, even the child is sleeping now. She's 6 months plus, and I'm not able to sleep. She said, you start reading, you do something which, I said, okay, get me something. And she got me this. And it was not just a cure for insomnia, it was a cure for my soul. It shook me, it made me and transformed me in ways which are unexplainable. It made me talk about, think about, explore about the unprecedented things which are a taboo in the society. Question about our parents, about God, about our religious beliefs, about how we see people, how we perceive them, how we judge them, how we comment about them, and what is the reality? What is it? What is real? What God is, or what your heart is, or what a human is. So, my phone. Yeah. So, I first want to begin with a crux which I take out from the book. The crux is that we give labels. A bad person, a liar, a drunkard, killer. But in this book, what I understood that you just segregate a person from an action. Okay? Asya did a bad thing. Not Asya is a bad person. So there was an action which I did. My intentions, my situations, we don't know. No one knows. Even maybe I don't know at that point of time. Maybe I'm not in that frame of mind. So, firstly, you don't give adjectives to a person. These actions are what we do. This is not what we are. So, here the story revolves around Rumi and Shams Tabrizi. Rumi is a famous poet. He belongs to a family of religious clerics. He is from a very, very reputed background. He gives Friday sermons. He comes on a horse, and everyone is in awe of him in this. And people come from far, far places just to hear his one Friday sermon. But inside, he's hollow. he has some understanding that he's not full. He doesn't know real things about God, about faith, and something unrests him. He has books written by so many scholars in his library, even reading everything and all. He's hollow from inside. And he writes in his poetry, what you seek in seeking you. He's seeking some knowledge, which comes in the form of a wandering dervish, Shams Tabrizi. And Shams Tabrizi comes to his life and he shakes him and makes him believe and do things which were not unexpected but unimaginable. I would like to narrate a very small anecdote from this book. It was about a woman. It was about a woman who, in some kind of situation, was in flesh trading, or she was, what we call in Urdu, fahashi ke business mein. And it was a business that time. There is nothing right or wrong about it because business only runs if there are customers. Okay? So the customers were us, people like us. So what happens? There is this woman, a woman who is not, you know, having a great profession as per society. Yeah? Yeah, yeah, Desert Roses Ali. So she really has this thinking, I want to hear Rumi's sermon one day. एक दिन मैं भी सुनती कि what does he speak? Let me also get some insight. She had hunger for maybe knowledge or something about God. But then what she does, she, disguises herself in the form of whatever and goes to this place where the sermon is there. And to her misfortune, or to unluckily, or I would say luckily for others, someone recognizes her. Someone recognizes, oh, this so and so, this sinner, this so and so, all the bad words which you can think of. How is she here? How is she polluting and, impurifying this place? And they start beating her up and, and she's crying and she's saying, then someone tells someone, then there is this person, and he says that, and then when Shams Tabrizi in this book, how they narrate the incident, that people who recognized her were actually her customers. They were going there, they were doing all this, what she was selling, what she was giving. So they are a part of this. How can you criticize, demean, malign something which you have been a part of? Just because she is doing it as a, she's selling it out in the market and you're buying it, doesn't mean she is bad. You're equally responsible. So who is the sinner here? So sinner and sin, there is a very thin line, there is a very blurred image. As they say, Allah Ta'ala says that, a moment is a mirror of moment. So what I see in you is actually there present in me. We are believers, we say all this, but there are psychologists who do, how not so true these old books and clerics are, how knowing a human, appreciating a human, and looking at him in a very wide and an open-minded perspective is the biggest worship. Accepting people as they are, loving them as they are. कहते हैं अल्लाह उसी से मोहब्बत करता है जो उसकी मखलूक से मोहब्बत करती है, स्पेशली उस मखलूक से जो फ्लॉड होगी, और हम सब बहुत फ्लॉड हैं. When he loves us for our flaws and we love others for their flaws, then he loves us more. And coming back to God, whether God exists or doesn't exist, that is why I love Elif Shafak. The main reason I love this woman is because she talks on unprecedented topics. The Turkish literature, she has one more book called The Three Daughters of Eve. She talks about a person who has mixed beliefs, and where she says that people of religion have done more harm than people of non-religion, which is actually true. Okay, so honesty, kindness, as he said, it saves everyone's time. And I read an article recently, I will not take too much of your time. It was by a psychologist that why should you be honest? Why should you speak the truth? Why should you be very clear in your dealings? Because it affects your self-worth. Self-worth. All the mental illnesses today are because we have stopped trusting our being on ourselves. if I'm a compulsive liar and if I am not honest in my dealing, my mind is also a person. Psychologists say कि आपका दिमाग भी एक इंसान है. You take it as an entity. What happens when I start lying and misinformation and all this cheating happens all the time I do this, my mind also doesn't trust me, and I don't trust my mind, and I don't trust my decisions. I don't trust myself. I don't trust myself. I don't like myself. I don't like myself. I have low self esteem. I have low self worth. I will get into mental illnesses. I will get into depression. So, honesty, structure, all the teachings of God, what we say, they give us structure. Otherwise, this world will be chaotic, absolutely chaotic. There is this guy called as Vikas Divekriti. He's not a firm believer in God. He does IAS coaching. He said, किसी न किसी चीज पे भी यकीन होना अच्छी बात है because it makes your life easier. And the best thing he said was during the pandemic, people who had faith and who used to recite something in the morning used to think कि मैं बच जाऊंगा, and the other people who didn't have COVID or who didn't have belief died from panic attacks, died from low immunity, had mental health problems, and had 10 other diseases. So, yes, belief is good, honesty is good, and actions and people, they are separate entities. Love people with flaws, target the flaws, not the people. And yes, question about God, discover about God. You don't have to find him blindly. He gives facts, figures, everything in his book of Quran, in his hadith, substantiated by miracles. So yes, there is nothing wrong in questioning, in discussing any topic, any unprecedented topic. Thank you and all the best.
ये शायद वाहिद किताब है जो मेरे सामने सबसे ज़्यादा बार आई है, लेकिन मैंने इसलिए इसको पढ़ने से छोड़ दिया, मुझे लगा कि शायद आशिकों के लिए बनी हुई है। और नहीं, ये मैंने सोचा वो लैला मजनू आशिक जो सड़क छाप होते हैं ये उनके लिए बनी हुई है, और इस किताब को मैंने आज तक इसीलिए नहीं पढ़ा, और आज मेरा प्रोस्पेक्टिव इसको लेके चेंज हुआ है। इंशाल्लाह इसको ज़रूर पढ़ेंगे हम। तो उसके बाद मैं दावत दूंगा ओदेसा को वहीं, और अपना बुक रिव्यू पेश करें।
This is Uday Sarana, and I'm going to review the book Those Rich Musings, जो एक बहुत ही अच्छी ऑथर ने लिखी है. तो एनी गेसेस किसने लिखी है? विदाउट सराबया? नहीं, विदाउट यू. एक इतनी अच्छी ऑथर है, वो क्या लिखती है, मैं क्या तारीफ बयान करूं. Yes, it's me. So this is my book Those Rich Musings. तो I'll start with the fact कि मेरी लाइफ में predominantly दो phases आए हैं. पहला phase, a pathetic writer, a pathetic reader. मुझे ना लिखने का शौक था, ना पढ़ने का शौक था. It was a really boring thing for me back then. And the second phase, when life got screwed up. Nothing seemed to work, as she said. वो अकेले बैठना, समझ ना आना. Basically, I was in a need of a listener, which nobody is ready to be in this world. किसी के पास जाओ, आप कुछ बोलो, उससे क्या मिलती है आपको? एडवाइसेस, सजेशंस. मुझे सुनने के लिए कोई तैयार नहीं था. आई वेंट टू डिफरेंट पीपल, आई टोल्ड देम कि ऐसे 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 ऐसे, यू नो व्हाट, यू शुड डू दिस, यू नो व्हाट, यू शुड डू दैट. लाइक, कैन यू प्लीज लिसन टू मी फॉर 2 minutes? आई एम नॉट आस्किंग मोर ऑफ योर टाइम, जस्ट 2 minutes, जस्ट लिसन टू मी सो दैट आई मे फील लाइट. सो दैट्स वेयर माई जर्नी स्टार्टेड ऑफ दोज रिच म्यूजिंग्स. मैंने सबसे ज्यादा जो मैंने सीखा है लाइफ में is to let things go. I used to hold things in my fist, in my heart, shriek, cry over them. But when I started writing, I actually felt lighter. And मुझे शायद फिर उन चीज़ों की वापस से याद नहीं आती थी. I used to write. For example, कुछ लोग अपने इमोशंस को, अपनी फ्रस्ट्रेशन को रो के बाहर निकालते हैं, कुछ चीख के बाहर निकालते हैं. मैंने लिख के बाहर निकाला है. एंड इमोशंस को बाहर निकालते निकालते कहाँ से एक किताब बन गई, I didn't know. And obviously Sarabya helped me a lot in it. He edited it, he helped me publishing it. So this book is about the instances. For example, एक घर में लड़ाई हो गई, उसने ये किया, उसने वो किया, तुमने देखा उसने हस्बैंड से कैसे बात की, तुमने देखा उसने मदर इन लॉ से कैसे बात की, छोड़ो ऐसे क्या, छुक ये छुकते छुक ऊर छुक, they'll judge the whole circumstance and then उनको कुछ नहीं होता उसके साथ। अब उस चीज का इफेक्ट उनकी लाइफ में कहाँ से पड़ जाता है वो खुद रियलाइज नहीं करते हैं या फिर रियलाइज करना नहीं चाहते हैं। वो चीजें देखकर अपनी बेटी से, अपने डॉटर इन लॉ से वो एक्सपेक्टेशंस आ जाते हैं जो शायद आनी नहीं चाहिए। अनदर एग्जाम्पल, सबने देखा होगा कि पेरेंट्स कितना फोर्स करते हैं अपने बच्चों को उनके ड्रीम्स पूरे करने के लिए, राइट? But I feel it's unfair because life gave a fair chance to each and everybody to fulfill their dreams. I tell my parents on their face कि you guys have failed in your life. जो आप लोगों को करना था आपने कर लिया, अब जो मुझे करना है प्लीज मुझे करने दे दो, क्योंकि अगर मैं अपनी जिंदगी आपके ड्रीम्स को पूरे करने में लग गई तो शायद my life will be empty. My soul will be empty. I have my own ambitions, I have my own dreams. तो उन सारी जो मैंने realizations की हैं,
आज पहली बार है कि मैं दो ऑथर्स को लाइव सुन रहा हूँ। तो हाँ, एक मेरे बहुत ही पसंदीदा शायर हैं जॉन एलियट, जिनको आप भी जानते होंगे। उनका एक शेर है कि एक ही हादसा तो है, एक ही हादसा तो है, और वो ये कि आज तक बात नहीं कही गई, आज तक बात नहीं सुनी गई। और ये बहुत बड़ा हादसा है कि हमें ना तो बात सुननी आती है और ना ही बात करनी आती है। मैं वक्त को ज़ाया ना करते हुए मनव्वर साहब को दावत दूंगा कि वो आएँ और अपने ख़यालात हमारे सामने रखें।
Assalamualaikum everybody. Bismillah. So there was a lot of motivation by Shiv Khera. It was like I'm really not fond of the book, but you know very well said. Okay, we should try to get something positive out of everything. And I was not willing to speak. This is the second time I'm attending this thing, although I missed first one. So I thought वो है ना अंदर का वो जो इंसान है कि चलो मैं अभी कुछ बोल लेता हूँ. I prefer to speak a lot, but kabhi baar listening wo jo skills hai, everybody don't have those skills. And your book, I would definitely like to read. And existence of God has been always questioned, and the existence of everything is an answer, I believe. This is my belief. And apart from that, like Asya, you do really good narrations, and you had a cure to this, well, you rightly said it was not a cure. You got like enlightened by the book, and I really took that line. That's what I just concluded. Although book has its different perspectives, different things uh, that can be taken out, like you did. And I don't know, like Udasha, I have, but you are a very intelligent writer. You are a very intelligent person to present yourself. I'll tell you. And I would like to talk about something. I have been trying to write and complete a book. I started it 2009 when I was doing my engineering, and I haven't even completed yet. I have almost completed 18 chapters. I like to speak something out of it. There is a character. His name is Monis. There are two characters, main characters, and he's studying in NIT Silchar. NIT Silchar is in Assam. It is on the banks of River Bakra. That's where exactly I have framed whole story. He's a hostler. He's an engineer too. And Monis, and there is one more character. But I just wanted to tell something about Monis, because Asya talked about flaws somewhere, in her speech. So Monis is this book which I am trying to complete. I don't know what will motivate me to complete, because I was doing my engineering, then I started my job, then I had started to I did my business. I'm still doing my business, but this Monis, he was in Rajpura. Rajpura is a place in Punjab, and he was doing his internship out there, and he was traveling back from Bala. So what he saw, a boy, a 1-year boy in the lap of his mother. So he's black, he had running nose. He was nobody would like to see him, and he was she was trying to breastfeed him out of the empty breasts, because she was living in the slums. Munis was passing by, and he was just looking at this woman and trying to captivate or trying to understand the emotions. This book is totally based on love and emotions, and there are different forms of love which this book talks about, and relationships. So he was trying to understand this relationship, what everybody else will see कि एक like there's a this baby unhealthy unhygienic black, we call like we maybe having running nose, nobody would like to see. But what Munis was looking was a different, he has a different perspective of life. वो हर चीज को different तरीके से देख रहा था, and the thing was he was looking the relationship between mother and the child. He was looking, despite not having milk in her breast, she was still trying to feed him. She was still trying to protect him in the hope that someday he will grow up, someday he will do something, someday he will be a kind of hope for him to be better person in life. That's how we see the relationships. That's how we see a kind of thing. We have a different prospect of looking at the things, and that's like this is a very small part of the story. I think an incident that defines his character. And yes, you talked about flaws, and I have like I was in college. I had a friend. She's a writer, Riva, and we collectively wrote an quotation. We're having a conversation. When two writers do, I'm not. I would say like I'm not a very good writer, but when two writers, when they can have a conversation, it becomes novel, it becomes books. That's how it works. And the quote I have written is possibly leaked. The person who can see your naked soul only deserves your naked body. So this is how, like she was saying, something she was explaining to me. And she's a very good writer. And that's how I learned, like if we are full of flaws, but I think like we are only deserved to those people who can accept us with our flaws. So if we are everybody is full of flaws. That's what is. So but we deserve to be like with those people who accept us with our I think with our flaws or with our shortcomings, with anything. I think that's all I would like to say. And you guys have been really wonderful. And it was I'm here to just learn and like out of my comfort space. I just came, and Sufi is very good friend of mine. Hossein, like who owns this cafe. It's a nice initiative. I wish him all the best, and you guys too. Thank you.
बरसात आपका। तो जब मैं लास्ट बार यहाँ आया था तो मेरे पास कोई इस तरह से तैयारी तो नहीं थी। मैंने अपनी 2 गज़लें आपको सुनाई थी, लेकिन आज मैं थोड़ा तैयार हो गया हूँ। तो मसला ये है कि जब मैं लास्ट बार यहाँ आया था तो यहाँ पे सारे लोग इंग्लिश लिटरेचर को रिव्यू कर रहे थे। तो मैंने कहा कि गैप बन रहा है यहाँ पे, तो हम उर्दू भी बनाएँगे। और उर्दू मेरे दिल के बहुत करीब है, और मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगता है जब मैं उर्दू में बात करता हूँ। और जब मैं पहली बार मंटो साहब को पढ़ने के लिए गया था, तो मेरा पहला तारुफ मंटो साहब से हुआ था जब मैं कॉलेज में था। वहाँ हमारे कॉलेज की बुक में एक उनका अफ़साना था इंग्लिश में, तोबा टेक सिंह। तोबा टेक सिंह को मैंने गूगल पे लिखा, तो उसके बाद मुझे एक नाम मिला जिसका नाम था टीटवाल का कुत्ता। और ये उनका बहुत ही बेहतरीन अफ़साना है, और मैं इससे रिलेट कर पाया क्योंकि मैं वहीं से हूँ, करना से। तो ये मेरे दिल के बहुत करीब आ गया। मैंने सबसे पहले लाइब्रेरी में गया कॉलेज की, और वहाँ से एक बुक निकाली, और बहुत ढूँढने के बाद मुझे टीटवाल का कुत्ता मिल गया। तो हम आज इस टीटवाल के कुत्ते के पर बात करेंगे थोड़ी-सी। क्योंकि ये जो अफ़साना इनका है, तोबा टेक सिंह, आप में से जिसने पढ़ा होगा क्योंकि वो ज़्यादा मशहूर है इससे। तो वो भी पार्टीशन पे है और ये भी पार्टीशन पे है। टिटवाल क्योंकि बॉर्डर पे है, तो वहाँ के बारे में ये बात कर रहा है कि उसका असर क्या रहा था पार्टीशन का। यहाँ पे इन्होंने 2 साइड से कैरेक्टर डेवलप किए हुए हैं जो उनकी इसमें अफ़साने में। एक तरफ से हैं हरमान सिंह जो इंडिया के सूबेदार हैं, और दूसरी तरफ से हैं, उनका नाम मैंने यहाँ लिखा हुआ था, हिम्मत खान। तो दोनों तरफ से मोर्चे पे बैठे हुए हैं लोग, अपनी-अपनी ज़मीनों के लिए लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं। तो वहाँ पे जब ये रात को हीर गाते हैं, ये जो हिम्मत हरमान सिंह होते हैं, जो इंडियन आर्मी के वहाँ पे जो पोस्ट के हेड होते हैं, वो हीर गाते हैं। अब यहाँ पे हीर के बारे में बात करना बहुत ज़रूरी है। वो लोग जो पंजाबी कल्चर से वाकिफ़ हैं, उनको पता होगा कि हीर एक फ़ोक गाना है इनका। हीर हीर रांझा, ये उनकी कन्वर्सेशन है जो कि गीतों में गाई जाती है। एक हीर जोगी से कहती है कि तुम क्या बताओगे मुझे, वो जो रूठ के चले जाते हैं वो वापस नहीं आते हैं। ये वो पंजाबी में गाता है। तब तक इसे कुत्ते की आवाज़ आती है और ये कहते हैं कि पहाड़ की इस ऊपर वाली जगह पे कुत्ता कहाँ से आ गया, पहाड़ के ऊपर कुत्ता कहाँ से आ गया। तो ये उसको आवाज़ ये देखते हैं। तो तब तक इसका जो पोस्ट पे खड़ा हुआ चौकीदार होता है, वो देखता है कि कुत्ता झाड़ियों के पीछे से आ रहा होता है। तो इसे बुलाते हैं, उसका नाम चप्पड़ जंजू रखते हैं और उसके गले में एक पट्टा डालते हैं और उस पे नाम लिखते हैं उसका, चप्पड़ जंजू, और नीचे लिखते हैं हिंदुस्तान का कुत्ता। मैं इससे ज़्यादा इस पर बात नहीं करूँगा, कंट्रोवर्शियल हो जाएगा। उसके बाद इसको बिस्किट डाले जाते हैं, ये बिस्किट खाता है और इसे डराया भी जाता है। रात इसी तरह हीर गाते गाते इनकी सुबह हो जाती है और ये मज़े करते हैं। एक एंटरटेनमेंट का इनको सोर्स मिल जाता है, चप्पड़ जंजू जो कि कुत्ता होता है। उसके बाद सुबह होते ही ये कुत्ता इनको गायब हो जाता है और वहाँ पोस्ट की उस तरफ, बॉर्डर की उस तरफ जो हिम्मत खान हैं, उनको आवाज़ सुनाई देती है और वो बहुत ज़ोर से चिल्लाते हैं कि तुम रात से कहाँ पे थे। तो जो चौकीदार होता है वो सोचता है शायद मुझे बोल रहे हैं, लेकिन वो उसको नहीं बोल रहे थे, वो कुत्ते को बोल रहे थे। अब इनका जो चौकीदार होता है वो देखता है कि इसके गले में किसी ने कुछ पट्टा डाला हुआ है और उस पे कुछ लिखा हुआ है। हिम्मत खान अपने एक सिपाही को बोलता है कि ज़रा देखो इस पे लिखा क्या हुआ है, किसी को पढ़ना आता है ये क्या लिखा हुआ है। उस एक आदमी उसको जोड़ के पढ़ता है कि इस पे चप्पड़ जंजू लिखा हुआ है और लिखा हुआ है कि ये हिंदुस्तान का कुत्ता है। तो वो इसके पट्टे से, इसके गले से वो नाम हटाते हैं, गत्ता होता है जिस पे लिखा होता है वो हटाते हैं और उसी पट्टे के साथ नया नाम सप्पड़ जंजू इसके साथ लिख देते हैं और ये लिखते हैं कि ये हिंदुस्तान का कुत्ता है, ये पाकिस्तान का कुत्ता है। हाँ, तो इसका नाम चप्पड़ जंजू के बदले सप्पड़ जंजू रख दिया जाता है। उस इस सेशन को, हमारा जो तीसरा सेशन था, हम कंक्लूड करने जा रहे हैं। ये शेयर्ड पेन की तरफ से था और हमारे जो इन कोलैबोरेशन विद कैफ़े एक्स में आप सब सामाइन का और आप सब पार्टिसिपेंट्स का शुक्रिया अदा करता हूँ, शेयर्ड पेन की तरफ से और कैफ़े एक्स की तरफ से, कि आप हमारे पास आए, हमें सुना, हमें झेला। शुक्रिया आपका बहुत बहुत।